This one? Okay, so this one. There's picture but no tone. Okay, no sound. No, there's the sound. Okay, thank you for following me. And hello, Elric L. Oh, El Greg Codev. Yeah, you are the guy from I guess Mastodon who talked with us. Yeah, welcome. I just want to finalize the name of the stream because this time I have a first time guest here. He has never been with me here on the stream, but he's a very well-known friend of mine. We met back in I don't know when, 100 years ago, it feels like, and yeah, it's Brecht Billiet. Oh, you can already hear him, I guess. Let me check in, and you. Oh, without this, and I changed the name of the stream now. Okay. So I will switch over to the other screen, and then you will see Brecht, and he will introduce himself. And here he is, and I will. So
Hey everyone.
Hi. So you look like too young for being over 100 years old. Yeah, thank you. so so there's oh this is another follow. I'm totally amazed by what's happening at the beginning of the stream. So yeah, can you introduce yourself? Who are you?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to the new follower?
No, I talk to you.
Okay. So I'm Brecht. I'm a software engineer. I think I've been coding for like 20 years. Started out as a hobby, and like 10 years ago, I started as a freelancer. Started giving trainings. Back then, still in Angular JS. I really loved Angular JS back then. I love Angular now. I think I started doing like Angular when it was in beta phase. I gave my first training when it was release candidate 4. So Angular 2 release candidate 4. Well, that's actually a lie because a few days before my training, it turned into RC5 and they introduced modules. So that was kind of a hiccup. Had to rewrite my training there. I've been like traveling the world. I worked for ThoughtRam. I I gave trainings at NGBE at NG Vikings. I think that's where I met you, Dave. Right at I think in Helsinki it was.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I had a small company called Strong Brew, which I founded together with a friend of mine. But then COVID happened, and yeah, that kind of turned to hell. So I just kept on freelancing and helping like customers, kickstarting projects and stuff like that. And I basically started again like 3 4 months ago. I restarted being more active on Twitter, on writing blogs, and I started a small company called Simplified Courses. And with that, my biggest goal is to make it easier for developers to get acquainted with something, to explain something complex in a simplified way when valuing your time, right? So that's very important to me. I don't want to overload you with all facts that you can find in documentation, right? I mean, I have a bit of a cough. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I just had it. But yeah, so that's the goal, right? I want to do like very focused trainings, and they're like twofold. So first of all, I want to make complex things simplified, and that's why I focused on change detection, right? Because change detection is something that feels like magic for a lot of people. And for the rest, I really want to focus on all the experience I had in Angular, and make sure that you learn from. I'm not saying my way is the right way. I'm saying like my way works for me, and yeah, I also like to teach that. So you cannot learn experience quickly. You need time for that, and I think I've been in like between 80 or 100 Angular projects not the Angular JS projects included. And I've seen a lot of stuff, and most importantly, I really met a lot of very interesting people, and they taught me a lot as well. And it was really nice, like brainstorming about that. So really passionate about software development, especially Angular. I'm also really into quick these days. I'm actually just into technology. I used to do backend like in another lifetime, and the last 10 years I'm focusing purely on front end, and yeah, also some Node.js, but front end is the main goal there. And yeah, really passionate about bringing value to people, creating content, also trying to create free content, like just create it. And a change detection cheat sheet that you can use. And that was quite nice actually, because there were already like a few people that came to me and asked me for like a high quality printout so they could like put it in their office. And that was a really nice feeling. So I really want to thank the community back as well. I love creating content for you guys and gals. And yeah, so in a nutshell, that's who I am.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. So there's already a comment about your ebook. So it says a very great. So I translated a very great ebook about change detection. A very complex topic put to point like this, and yeah, it's he appreciated. And then another one Angela asked if there is a link to this ebook. So you can you
Yeah,
share the link to your
I
website
can.
where you can edit? Yeah.
I So it's also worth mentioning that the ebook is free until the end of the month, right? So I made it free for 1 month, and then after that I'm gonna make it payable, because yeah, to be quite honest, most of the time people value something more if they pay for it. At least if it's a small amount, then they're more likely to read it than it's something free that they get in an email, right? But so I don't know if I can. I don't have access to Twitch here, so
But you
I
can,
can just send them. Yeah, I will do it like that.
yeah. And then I will share the
Um,
link in the Twitch chat here. Yeah, that's great. So we I can totally remember the time when we met in Helsinki. It was a great experience. So it was the Angular community in a nutshell. People met at a place on Earth where they have never been. They all come from a different place on Earth, and they have a good time. And this was what we totally had. It was a
yeah,
great experience, and I still love to remember these times and these days when we sat together and had some drinks and had some nice chats, and yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah, definitely.
and some karaoke.
Oh yeah, as well as always, karaoke as always. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. For me, it was also like the most fun conference I've been to, where I met the most interesting people. So yeah, really remember that and think about that a lot still.
So can you hear this? People outside in my chat. So you have to go to conferences, okay? We just had our conference in here in Berlin in October. So the next one will be scheduled. We don't know when, but there will be next issue from NGDE. So it's worthy to visit such a conference because of the community and of the chat and the connection and the networking. Definitely. Okay, so now we shared the link of your ebook. So what can you who was it? Monkey JS said that your ebook is very great because you explain a very complex topic in a very easy way. So can you explain how the change detection work in 4 sentence. It depends on how long the sentence are. Can you
I cannot. Well, what I can explain is that a lot of developers are hell bent to use on push everywhere, and that is a strategy that might work, but then you need to understand how change detection works, right? Because otherwise you're just telling Angular like, don't take care of change detection unless a view is marked as dirty, and then yeah, things got broken. So let me maybe tell you a small story on how I actually um, took the topic. Like, why did I focus on change detection? And change detection is basically something that I see in a lot of companies where they put on push on like the app component, and out of a sudden there's something broken, and they don't know why change detection broke. And then I start asking like, where did you put on push on, and like what strategies do you use? Do you work with immutable data, and do you use the async pipe, stuff like that? And after like so many projects, I started with a new client of mine, and there were some people there that were meteor developers, and they missed some basics on change detection. And I started realizing like this is such a big gap in general. Like, people after so many years of doing Angular still don't understand what a mark for check is, for instance. So I decided to write a quiz about that, and I wrote a quiz. It's like 15 answers, and people actually took the quiz. It took me by surprise, and they were like, okay, I want to test my knowledge on change detection. And it turned out that like 50% of like most of them, not like the average was like, oh, under 50%. And I didn't ask about internals. I gotta tell you, the change detection quiz, it's a hard one. It's a tough nut to crack, right? But still, there were so many people not grasping the basics. So I decided to create this change detection cheat sheet. And later on, on the meantime, I started writing the book because the idea of change detection being a gap in the Angular community was validated, right? The idea was validated. So sorry, I started writing a book, and I started realizing um, that I didn't know change detection like I thought I knew it. I mean, I started reverse engineering the code because there wasn't that much to find on the web. There were some very great articles from Maxime from In Depth, but they were also like 4 years old or something, and they were not like completely up to date anymore. The source code has changed, so it became a sport to like reverse engineer, and it was a very interesting exercise for me to do that. So in that book, I started creating these references to the actual Angular source code. And in order for me to completely understand it, I had to simplify it in my head. And there were some great people that helped me, like Gregor Voivod. He's also a Google developer expert. He helped me out in like reviewing the book and stuff like that. And yeah, it I decided to make it free. Then after having a call with someone of the platform I'm using, Kajabi, told me like, yeah, you should not make it free. But I said, yeah, I promised everyone. And then he said, yeah, then make it free for a while, or for the people that you promised. So I decided to do that until the end of the month. And yeah, I was really excited to release it. um Now, what I want to mention, like, how does change detection work, like in 4 sentences? I think we have a little bit more time than that, right? But
yeah.
in 4 sentences, change detection always runs on every component every time. That's sentence one. Thanks for giving me a heads up on this this beautiful question. So another sentence: if you put the on push strategy on there, it will never run unless your view is marked for check. or it's the initial run. So another sentence then is Zone.js will monkey patch all the native async browser APIs, and because of that, it knows when to trigger change detection. Um, One last sentence is when you put a clock in your application that takes every second, your change detection will run on every view in your entire application that is shown at the moment every second. And that's not very effective.
Okay. So you mentioned some words, some I would say bash words in the topic of change detection. First, you mentioned mark for check, and then you mentioned the soldiers or monkey patch, and you mentioned oh no, I guess these two words I just heard. Can you explain what does monkey patching means in this context?
Yeah. So what I can do is I can share my screen and I can go to a part of my Angular best practices workshop where I cover change detection.
Sure.
Probably won't go to the entire thing, but yeah, just bear with me and keep asking me questions that I can hear myself twice now. I can hear myself twice now. I can hear myself twice now. I can hear myself twice now.
Okay, wait. But does it work? So I can't. No, I'm not sure if I can hear you already or still. Can you say something?
Can you say something? Yeah, but I keep hearing you. Can you say something?
Okay.
Yeah, but I keep hearing you. And me.
Okay, then I will. You got my voice on your monitors, right? Or on your speakers. So when you can use a headphone, it would be fix the problem. Echo, echo, echo. Oh yeah, he did. He will do. Okay. So Brecht mentioned Gregor Voivode. We had him. I had him here on stream. I guess 1 year ago. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I have had Gregor Voivode here on stream, and he talked about NGX duck, I guess. I'm muted, Dave. Okay. So, okay, but keep hearing. Okay, he can hear me. Like over 10 times. No, that's not good. Okay, wait. Yeah, it's because of the to understand recursion, you have to understand recursion. Yeah. Okay, if you can use a speaker or a microphone, a headset, or like something like this, then your echo will be gone because your microphone is catching up the sound of your speaker. Okay, we will back in a few seconds.
I think I found the issue.
Okay.
Is it fixed?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how, but your Twitch channel was open in the tab, and for some reason I didn't click it, but it just started playing.
Okay.
But so
nice.
right now it's fine for everyone.
Nice.
Okay.
It works well. Great.
All right.
Yeah. As I just mentioned, I had Gregor here on stream, and he told me about his library, his NGDux library, which is a patch for NGX or NGSX. Yeah, for this one. Oh yeah.
All right, I can share my screen.
Yeah. I'm totally. Oh yeah, yeah. It's gone. And
Everybody can see my screen.
yes,
Like it should have slides open.
yes, I can see. I can see the screen.
Okay. And yes. So, yeah, I'm gonna go over some slides. Not gonna go over all of them. So the first thing was like, I really think it's important to mention how it works in AngularJS because that basically resulted in the decision of using Zone.js.
Mm-hmm.
So really, in short, in Angular, we had a bunch of scopes, and there was one root scope. If you digested that root scope, then all the child scope were digested as well. So the digest cycle was doing dirty checking. It performed change detection. Um, so basically, AngularJS did not have any clue on when to run change detection. So they wrapped some code in their HTTP. So the HTTP did a scope apply, and a scope apply is a root scope digest. So basically, it also digested the entire tree, right? It was the same with the router navigate. It was the same with ng-click, and every Angular JS library that was out there was constantly doing like scope apply, so root scope digest, so
Mm-hmm.
running the entire tree. So that wasn't very efficient, and that's why they started using Zone.js, which was inspired by Dart. So Zones is a principle that was inspired by Dart, and it's basically an async execution context. You can use it to do like logging and stuff like that. So what they do is they use it to monkey patch the browser async API. And like you see here, this is one of these links that I was mentioning. The book is filled with it, so we're gonna actually go through the entire process and see what happens behind the scenes and go to the actual Angular source code. And I think that's a very interesting exercise to do. Not even just for Angular in general, just go to the actual code base and you will learn tons. So, small sidetrack. What is Zone.js? So we have this root zone, which is actually an outer zone that is forked into an inner zone. So there's two zones, and
Mm-hmm.
the outer zone is called the parent zone, and the inner zone is called the angular zone. And that's actually where the magic happens. If you run something inside of the angular zone, it will trigger change detection. So it will trigger an application ref tick, and in the outer zone, it will not do that. So that's kind of obvious why we have two zones. Sometimes we don't want to constantly trigger change detection. And one of the examples that I can give there is, and yeah, it might be an interesting one to take, yeah, like a minute for, is when you do a scroll or when you do a drag and drop. Like when you do drag and drop, you're constantly redrawing the thing you're dragging, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you will redraw it like 10 times a second. Something like that. So that means that when you're dragging, you're triggering like change detection on your entire application 10 times a second. And when you're having a lot of views, there's a lot of components, it can become quite slow, right? So that's not what you want because if you have something that is very costly in terms of computation somewhere on like the side of your application, and here there's like constantly running something, it's like triggering that other thing as well. So parent zone, angular zone, and they both have functions. I don't know who of you all have heard about them, but you have the ng zone run and the ng zone run outside angular. And the run outside Angular is basically where you would run a drag and drop into because you don't want to trigger um, the change detection all the time. And there's only one that can be active at the same time. So ng zone run outside Angular will run in the outer zone, and ng zone run will run in the inner zone. So moving on, the inner zone will trigger change detection, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does it do that? It will actually listen to three functions. And on all these functions, it will trigger this guy, where it is the check stable function, and the check stable, sorry, function will emit on microtask empty, and that one will just trigger the tick. So the tick, what you see here, that is actually what triggers change detection. And that's very important to know because there's a lot of things that can happen, right? You can have a set interval, you can have like an Ajax call happening, you can have scroll events, you can have all kinds of events. And if these events are being picked up by Zone.js, it will trigger change detection all the time. And sometimes it can become very imperformant. So again, just if you're interested, just like download the ebook. It's still free. I'm gonna click through on one now, okay, to show what's going on here. So here you can see in the Angular source code where the zone is actually run. Like I'm not sure because I'm on not a very small screen. Is this readable
Yeah.
to you guys? Okay.
Maybe you
So
can
cool.
maybe you can just increase or make the size a bit font size a bit bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this one. This one is great.
So here, what you can do is you can actually, I don't know if people know that, but you can click through it on GitHub, right? You can go,
Mm.
yeah, reference is going to take forever because tick is run in a lot of places. But you can just go to like application ref tick, and there you can see that it will go overview and trigger change detection on them, like with the detect changes. And here you can see the check node changes will throw an error if changes have changed. So in development mode, it will run change detection twice. Um, that was not what I was meant to do. Okay, so moving on. I'm going to talk in the book also about views, and basically every component has a view. There are two types of views. There's a logical view and there's a template view. And the logical view is what we need. So every instance has this L view, and the T view is a view that is bound to the template. So we don't care about T view. We care about L view because LView will have this very famous thing that you were talking about, Dave. The LView flags dirty, which will be set by the mark for check function and stuff like that. And we're gonna cover that later because it's gonna be in it's gonna be for the on push strategy. Like we will, if you call mark for check and you're in default strategy, you're not doing anything. It's just being ignored. The LView flags 30 will only get set in the on push strategy. So I've created this yeah, I created a stack blitz example that I will show. And so the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to show you when change detection is being run, and that's not that easy. I just skipped a few slides, but in those slides, I was mentioning like you cannot check it on the ng do check because let's say that this guy here is going to be checked for changes, and these will not. These will their ng do check function will still trigger. Ng do check does not trigger change detection. It will always be triggered for the direct children of the view that we're trying to check. So how was I able to make sure that we can that we can show when change detection is being run? So let me quickly show it. I've created this tag blitz example. It's also referenced in the book. I think there's 5 of them or something. So what did I do? I have created a visualize change detection run function. Let me quickly zoom in here as well. So visualize change detection run. And here you can see how I call it. So there was this thing. So there's discussion whether or not it would be a bad practice to have template functions run like that. Um,
Mm.
I think it was and a blog from Pavel lately that said that it didn't have that much performance issues. Um, but still, yeah, we can leverage it to see if change detection runs. So this guy will always get run when change detection runs. So it's the ideal way to show when change detection is run. And if we go to the implementation of this, we can see that we're also running this outside of Angular. Why? We're setting a class on that, detecting, and then after 1 second, we will remove that class. And that way you can see close, open, you can see it turns green for 1 second. And yeah, we have to run this outside of Angular because otherwise this set timeout will run zone.js and will trigger change detection again and again and again. So it will be some kind of infinite loop there.
Okay.
Moving on to the next example, you can play a lot. You can play with this. It's a fun way to check when change detection runs and to just like play around with it. I'm not gonna go again too deeply into that because yeah, it's already 8:34 and it's not the goal to do the entire thing here, right? Um, so what will this do? We have this things. It's the same application that we're running here, but we have this set interval running in the constructor of our root application. So what we will see here, like this does not do anything, but
Mm-hmm.
every 2 seconds, it just like boom, it triggers change detection on all the components in the entire application, all the views. As you can see here, the views are running 4 levels deep. So we have the app root, then the L1, L2, and L3. So like every 2 seconds, everything just runs, and that's not really what we want for performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is an interesting slide, if I may say so myself. So what a lot of developers don't know is that event binding also triggers change detection because you have an out which is bound to this output here, and this out has a observable. It's an event emitter, but it can be any type of observable. And when we have this piece of code over here, this will actually subscribe to this observable, and
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes it will create an add event listener which is wrapped by zone in some kind of zone aware event listener. So it can trigger change detection. It can trigger the tick function. But that's not all what it does. What this will also do is it will wrap this guy here, wrap listener, and in that listener it will mark the view as dirty as well, and all its parents. So this only happens in the on push strategy, but this basically means that every time you're doing an event binding, so just a simple output, which is what you probably do on a day-to-day basis when developing Angular applications, um, you'll basically tell the view like, yeah, you're gonna be marked for check, and your parent, and so on. So this is also why when people tell me like, yeah, you have to do on push on every component, I say like, yeah, you can, but you do realize that whenever you click in your application, your root component is going to be marked for check anyway, right? So every view will be marked for check. So change detection is going to run on that root component where you put on push to, like anyways. And the only way when on push will make a difference on your root component is when you're doing like an Ajax call. You're removing something. You're doing a delete call, and when that is successful, you want to show something that will
Mm-hmm.
break change detection unless you put it in an observable. So if you if you would put it in if you would use the async pipe everywhere and you want to go for the reactive approach, fine, definitely fine. But there will be no big performance gain there because it's going to be marked for check,
Mm-hmm.
and it will force you to be more reactive. I agree with that, but for a delete call, I'm not sure if I want to, yeah, bind that by an async pipe. Um, but yeah, I mean, you do have to realize what's going on behind the scenes, right? And I think most of the Angular developer don't really know that this will also run a mark for check on itself and all the parents.
Mm.
So I wanted to take a few minutes to explain that. So here you can see if I had this event binding thingy. So if I click on mark, and mark does not do anything here, it's just an empty function. The same here. Uh, so it's an empty function everywhere. So whenever I click, like, this is again gonna trigger change detection on everything.
Mm.
Um, Let me quickly show you this cheat sheet. This is what I want to show here. Like, we have the trigger, and we can see here in the legend it will be marked dirty. Yeah, it's gonna be very small here, but I've written an article on simplified courses where I explain the cheat sheet, and it is free for you to download. You just have to subscribe, because yeah, otherwise I'm not legally allowed to send it to you. So it's here. Everything is here that you need to know if you forget something, like the stuff that I'm mentioning here. But so let me quickly, and then I'm gonna go back to you asking me questions, Dave, to the on push strategy. So what is important to know about the on push strategy? It will never trigger change detection unless on the initial render, or when an event is bound from within the view, which is something that we saw in the previous slides. It will mark the view dirty, or when a set input is called. And for a set input, where is my cheat sheet? For a set input, pum, pum, pum. Where did I put that? I cannot find it in my own cheat sheet. Hmm.
Can you find or search with Control F?
No.
Okay, there's change detection here and
Yeah, maybe it's not even in the slide here. So you definitely have to download my book. But so definitely, what will happen is I can show it in one of these slides here. So it will only mark this guy as dirty, and then it will run. So this one is set by its parent always, right? If you do a set input, it's set by its parent. So that parent is already marked as dirty, or is on default strategy. So this one does not have to be marked. So if this one would mark itself dirty and its parent again, then on the next change detection cycle, this parent, yeah, would get checked, and that's not what we want. So if we do a set, it will only set the L view.
okay.
So let me quickly just go over the on push strategy. So it will so if it's dirty, it will mark its parents dirty as well. So we see that this tree here is black, so it's being marked as something else than the green ones, right? So everything is marked dirty, and then Zone.js kicks in, and it will do an app ref.tick, and it will start on the top, and it will go down, and we'll see, like, okay, this guy is marked as dirty, this one is marked as dirty, this one is not marked as dirty, so I'll ignore it and the entire tree that lives below it. Here, this one is marked as dirty, this one as well, and this one is not marked. So that means that we can really optimize which views that can be marked, that can be that have to be checked. So that's really powerful, because if you're working with a lot of iterations, or like ng4 whatever, with components under there, you don't want like every component to constantly being being change detected. So yeah, this is a little bit explanation how it worked behind the scenes. And here we can see the difference between what we just saw and the actual on push strategy. So in here, you see initially everything turned green again, right? That's what I mentioned. Like change detection will always run on
Mm-hmm.
the initial render. And here we see that we set change detection strategy on push, and we can see that now like it's way more efficient, right? So the rest is totally being ignored, and we can just detect the things that we actually need. And this is important in a way, and in some applications or in a lot of applications, the difference might be trivial if you're working with CRUD applications or you don't have a lot of components, but it's still worth to know it, because when you have a performance bottleneck, then it's kind of hard to fix it. If you know how change detection works, your code should not have that much set timeouts or change detection ref mark for check or stuff like that. And if you're doing a detect changes, it should be because you're optimizing, you're creating your own change detection strategy, and because you know exactly what you're doing. If you're doing like detect changes and mark for check just because change detection is broken, yeah, then there's probably something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm not gonna go too deeply on that, on the rest. So we also want to work with immutable data structures. And since I have a very nested data format, I also show here what the difference is if you're not using a track by. Um, so let me quickly show that here. I've added the track by, and you can play along with this data structure. So we have the L1 that has an L2 that has an L3 one. So if we click on this guy here, then let me show you in the code. So if we want to update the label of L3 one, even though it's not shown in this application, but if you add it here, then we only want this one to be updated. But for that one to be updated, we have to update this reference. And we have to update the children reference. We don't want to update that one, but we do want to update this one. We want to update this one. We want to update this one, and so on, and even the data. So we want to update all the references of the parents, which is basically what Redux or NGRX can help us about or can help us with. Um, so I've created this complex function here that does that for us, like find node and then just update the node tree. I'm not gonna bother you with that, but just know like here we have a way better optimized application, because if you do not optimize your application, then change detection will run for everything. Um, so this is one of the very important things that we have to think about. But the most important thing that is my takeaway when you're using Angular with change detection is beware of Zone.js. Sometimes it's a better idea to run your code outside of Zone.js and trigger change detection yourself. Like for my current customer, I had to create this resizable table component. So when you resize, you're resizing the table, then you have to put a class on your table which sets it to is dragging, because otherwise it will select all the text when you're dragging. So you want to notify the framework. You want to trigger change detection for that, but you don't want to trigger change detection every time you're dragging like this column around, because it's crazy in performance. So for stuff like that, or like infinite scrolls, that kind of stuff, it's handy to know what Zone.js does, and that there are two zones: the inner zone and the outer zone. And the outer zone runs it outside of Angular. The inner zone will constantly trigger this tick function that will just like constantly trigger change detection on all your views. And that's something to be aware of because yeah, it's I have shot myself in the foot like dozens and dozens of times with incorrect use of change detection. And it was a very interesting challenge for me to reverse engineer that code and to write this 52-page ebook. So you will, if you read it, you will, yeah, you will not spend a week reading it, right? It should be a pretty easy read. And yeah, if you have questions about that, I think we can wrap up here with this with these slides with that example. So yeah, I'm gonna give the word back to you, Dave.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So this was great to see, and I guess there were some points that make something, or they explained very clear how it works. So there was a question about change detection, and let me just find it. It was okay. Can you quick help me out? What is change detection, and why do I need it? So that was the
Yeah.
question. And
So yeah, can are you finished with your question, Dave?
yeah, I would try to explain it, and you have to approve of it if it's correct, or if I explained it correct way, or is it totally BS what I explained. Okay. So the change detection is the process which um, takes in charge to update your view and your controller of your component or of your application. So everything is that there's a process called, or there's a process called zone.js, which Brecht just mentioned. Is the inner zone, which takes care of each component and scans the stack of this component if there is any functionality left in there. So maybe you know something about the event loop of JavaScript. There is an event, and the event triggers another event, and then it will, at the end, it will resolve all these events, and then the event loop is when there's now no other event, then you guess it's getting too idle, and the zone.js is waiting for exactly this moment, because then Zone.js knows, okay, now there's nothing, there's no more work to do in this component, so we have a stable state. So the state in the component in the controller is finished, is fixed. Now we can update the view of this component, and this is what change detection does. Change detection does it takes care and waits for the turning idle, or gets empty for the queue, and says, okay, this component is ready, so let's mark it for check. And then the change detection will go up the tree. This was this green and gray boxes just showed us. And the zone.js will run the tree from the top down, from the top to the bottom, and will update every component when there is a change. So the change detection is just a check if there is a change, and if there's a change, then it will update the view. Was this correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. But like the question, like, do we need change detection? This is probably going to be about zoneless Angular, which is a hot topic. And if you're going like completely reactive and you're using like Michael Hlatke's library, RX Angular, I think it is, and he doesn't use an async pipe but a push pipe and stuff like that, you could make it work zoneless. I haven't used it yet, not because I don't believe in it, because I know Michael very good. He is a brilliant mind, but when I'm working on an Angular application for a customer, most of the time it's also filled with people that just they use Angular but they don't know it by heart, and then I rather stick to the framework. I'm reluctant of introducing third party stuff or dependencies that I don't need to. But that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be of great added value to the project. And I know that the Angular team is working on zoneless. I know it's on their agenda, but I don't know where they are with that. Um, and if you look at like AngularJS, for instance, they didn't had Zone.js, but you have to manually do it by yourself. And since we're using RxJS, we could actually like hook into the observable pattern, and every time it emits, we could run detect changes, which is also what the push pipe of Michael does. I think it will not do morph check, but it will run detect changes on itself and
Oh,
the
it's
issues
it's
below that.
it's more specific. So the even with the async pipe, the complete template of the component will be re-rendered and will be updated. And Michael's push pipe will just update this DOM node. So he gets the template ref for this DOM node and can update just this one div or DOM node where the expression is in. So it's Michael was couple time here on my stream, and we talked about everything. So he talked about Arch Angular, and we talked about change detection as well, and so on. And we had a lot of fun. We talked about nonsense, and yeah, and he showed me his Arch Angular. So I never tried it really. I did a try on in the stream, but I didn't worked it or use it in one of my projects because maybe the same reason, for the same reason as you mentioned, because mostly the team is barely familiar with Angular, and then it would be a next problem or a next how it's called next here Stolperstein. What is Stolperstein in English? I forgot it. that is would the next
I don't know what it is.
obstacle for
Oh
the
yeah.
team to get forward. So this would be something like this. Yeah. So yeah, but it's pitfall. Pitfall is also the next. Maybe it can also turn into a pitfall if you um, uh, challenge a team too hard with new topics, because then they turn into a team without any power to improve and go forward. So this could be a problem, yeah, as well. Okay. So are there other questions? Yeah, there are a lot of questions about I subscribed, but I didn't get a link.
Yeah, it only runs like once a day. I think it's like a job email system that does it, but I can quickly have a check, and I can yeah, I've added a tag where I can just in 3 clicks send the ebook to the people that have subscribed, which is 10 since this call. So add tag, and you should get it within a few seconds now. So the coupon code will be in the email.
Magic. So Brecht is not only a freelancer and Angular expert, he is also a magician and can make emails appear on your phone or on the
Yes, I
device.
can send emails. That's my biggest passion.
You can also There's another one. There's someone who is hi Dave and Brecht, and his name is Tom Malaforge. I don't know you, but
Oh yeah,
welcome
he
to
also reviewed the book.
yeah, welcome to the
There were a few
stream.
people that
That's great.
welcome.
From your experience, how many components does an Angular app usually have for one to start worrying about change detection performance?
It's not about how many components, but it's about how many, of course, but it's also how they're nested and how expensive they are to render. Like, for instance, if you have a table that has like 1,000 lines of code in there, yeah, the what I'm saying, 1,000 lines of code, 1,000 rows in there, for instance, they don't have to be necessarily different components. Change detection will still matter there. Like, you don't want the entire thing to completely be done. And if there is some hard calculations in there, yeah, it really depends. I think in general, it's just a good idea to think about change detection and optimize it, but we still have to be pragmatic, right? So one of the things that I sometimes do is I'm using control value accessor and stuff like that for forms, but in some cases I find myself passing a form control or a form group to a component, and in that case you cannot use on push because the form group and the form control, they have a prototype, right? They cannot be treated immutable. And if you have like inputs, and when you change those inputs, they will update the component. But when you change the form control or the form control group, it will not update the component. So then sometimes you have change detection working and sometimes you don't. In that case, I'm saying I don't use on push because the result would be trivial there. So I would say like use what works for you, and if you're not having change detection issues, I would still recommend to work with immutable data structures because it's not just performance; it's also predictability that you're creating. But it really depends on the application. There's no magical number. Like if you have that many views, then you have to do on push or have custom change detection strategies. I would never do a custom change detection strategy unless the component itself is doing like something really heavy or triggering a lot of events. So I don't think that it would be a good idea to implement your own detect changes or detach from the view or reattach from the view, that kind of stuff. So like taking care of your own change detection unless you're trying to solve a very specific problem. And like it is with everything in software, I always prefer keep it simple, stupid. Also, I prefer it over dry. So I rather have something simple and predictable, and you could measure the performance in the dev tools. And yeah, when you're having an imperformant application, then you will know about it from the people that use it. But when you're having an unpredictable application, then you're gonna lose a lot of time. And I think we should just be pragmatic there.
Okay. So there is another. You can also define. You can also fine tune your zone with zone flags in polyfile TS to avoid some change detection listeners. Never used it. I can not say nothing about this. Have you ever used it?
Uh, is he talking about the zone noob thing, or that you can completely opt out zone? Because having like, yeah, maybe it's that you could say like I'm not using zone.js, but I thought I had some issues with standalone components. I heard something about that. Um,
Okay. So as
yeah, track by is definitely uh, a big one. I once went to a company in Antwerp because I had to do training there, but there was this guy that said like, can you just have a look at my Angular application because we're looking for weeks and it's very imperformant. And what they just had done is they didn't had a track by, and they had a huge list, and every row in that list contained a lot of complex stuff, and they started scrolling and the application just froze. And we fixed that by just I asked him, did you add track by? He didn't knew what it was. So he added a track by, and yeah, the performance issue was fixed. But
Okay.
so yeah, it's true that what Tuma is saying, that whether you're using change detection on push or you're marking for check or whatever, in some cases it will really resolve performance issues. But the biggest performance issues are like zone jazz being triggered too much, right? That's basically the most important thing, because when zone jazz is triggered, like it's gonna trigger change detection on the entire application.
Okay. So there's this. Do you know, or do you use the enable debug tools in your application? So you can enable the debug tools. So the debug tools, I use the debug tools a lot, and I use the console a lot to debug my application. And there is this thing that you enable the debug tools for a component to see the change detection inside of this. I don't use this a lot because it takes too much time to configure this, because you have to, every time you have to put in the component reference to this one component. So I just use the normal, or I just use the standard developer tools from the browser, where you can access the compiler in the DevTools with ng, and I use the Angular DevTools, which I did. I showed them before they were released in my stream accidentally. And that was the moment when my chat exploded. Everyone was asking, "What was this? Show us this. What is this?" And I had to explain that it is still not official. But then a few weeks later, it was happily released. So yeah, exposed too early, but yeah. And there's I think Thomas meant this. Let me just check this link, and then I can okay, I put it here in on this just to make it visible for, and I will show this screen, the whole screen, this one, and I guess it is, oh missed, damn, which this one, I hope it is this one. Now we can get an enter. No, we don't get it. And I want to show this one, I guess. So this is what Tomal showed us, or meant, that you can disable ng-zone disable error, so will not patch error, so will not patch on property such as button on click. Okay, will not patch geolocation API. Okay, so you can exclude stuff from the zone within the. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Okay, you know this?
No, I didn't know that. It's interesting.
Yeah. So what you can will not patch function prototype to string, will not prompt confirm, will not patch. Okay, if you have an application and you use inside of the application and prompt confirm, then you will definitely get a stuck strike by the hellfather, the godfather of all the thunderstrucks and so on, because you don't have to, and of the hellfather of the UI, because prompt and alert, please don't use prompt alert and confirm in your application, because it's pauses your JavaScript inside of your browser. So don't do this, okay? It's okay, yeah.
It's not the best UX.
It's very kindly. It's not the best UX, so it is the worst, I guess. Oh yeah. But thank you for mentioning this, because it's very interesting, and And Bastian says, oh, sorry for being late. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Bastian. And what is there? And setting up Zone.js. There is also the possibility to disable Zone.js for some events. Okay, I guess it is this one, right? Let me just copy the link and put it here in this browser. So what was the biggest performance boost when you fixed the change detection issues? Can you remember this?
So the biggest performance boosts, I've been in so much of these situations. One of them is the track by that I was just mentioning. Another one, that's actually a fun one. There was a colleague of mine, and he was a junior developer, so he was just like 6 months out of school, something like that, and he always liked to add like fun, fancy stuff in our application. Um, what he wanted to do there is he wanted to create this kind of scroll bar, and I'm not a fan of using like NGX libraries, and what I mean with that is you have, for instance, a perfect scroll bar, which is on npm, and then you have the ngx perfect scroll bar, which is basically a wrapper around that library. What really happened there is he just added the ngx perfect scroll bar. I don't really remember the name, but doesn't matter. He added it to the project, and after I got merged, we started getting performance issues, like really big ones. And what that specific library did is like every time you scrolled, it fired like 30 change detection cycles. So that was a huge impact on our application. It was something very fancy, and like, look at this. It scrolls like it does on my Mac, and yeah, it was very fancy because it cost it cost us a lot of money to find out where the performance issues came from. And then we look into the source code, and it was filled with set timeout and filled with mark for check, and not even that. It was just like running inside of the Angular zone, and it was a huge performance issue that we had. Um, so yeah, the track by definitely the biggest one inside of Angular. I think track by is definitely the biggest one because when you're using an ng4, yeah, it really depends on how much data there is in your list. So the more data, yeah, the more we have to re-render. And if you don't have a track by there, that it will just like re-render constantly. Um, it can cause some big issues there. And then for the rest, not running outside of Angular. Um, Running things inside of Angular can be quite tricky. And for
Okay.
the normal CRUD applications, of course, we want that. But when we're doing fancy stuff like a drag and drop or an infinite scroll or stuff like that, yeah, these are the things that pop in my mind.
Okay. Can you remember some numbers when how long it took to re-render a page before and after your performance boost or your change detection boost?
Well, if we're talking about the track by, it just froze the application.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
you could have a coffee, and then your browser would be crashed, and then afterwards, yeah, it just worked. Um, so yeah, that's a very tricky question because okay, it was 10 seconds, and then it was like 10 milliseconds.
So I had one of my first customer in Austria. Um, he came up and said, we had this problem with this view. They do bet machines, so you can bet on horses and on horse races and all this stuff. And I came to them in the office, and they said, "This is the machine, and we have a huge problem with the changes." And I said, "Okay, what kind of changes?" When we change the currency, then it takes about 17 seconds until everything is changed. And I was, hey, can you show me? And then he showed me, and I saw the machine. The machine was a television, but it was in portrait and not landscape. It was in portrait mode. It was mounted on a rack, and behind that there was a server, and on the server there was the web server, and there was the application, and the browser was there. So you just saw the huge application inside of this huge, I guess. How many inch it was? Maybe 70-inch was his screen, and this was the application, and it was a table full of horses and the races, and how much you get from it when you bet on this horse, on this race. And I was looking at this table, and this table was it was from the top to the bottom down, and then there was a scroll bar, and the scroll bar was like 2 centimeter, and I was, wait, what is happening here? And he was, yeah, these are all the horses, and I was, wait, all. So they didn't understand the meaning of pagination from the backend. So they said to the backend, we need all the horses, and they get all the horses, and they had 5,000 horses on this table, and each horse had 100 races in during the next few months. So we had 5,000 multiplied by 100. And every single cell of this table was a component which gets the complete horse object, and then it will pick the price or the money and the rate which you had there. And when you just changes, then everything was changed. So every single component was changed, and I was, well, this is funny. This is actually funny. And yeah, we changed from we changed on immutable data, and we changed on the async pipe. Virtual scrolling was not there at this time. It was Angular, I guess 4 or 2, maybe 2, I guess. And then it was we said, okay, let's implement pagination so that the user can search or can tap through the pages, and then we get, for sure, obviously we get the re-render time down to 1.7 milliseconds. And this was a very huge change from 70 seconds to 1 millisecond. And they, wow! And then I walked out of this office like a god. It was very funny.
That's a nice story. Another thing that pops in my head about the pitfall is people detaching from the change detector and still running it inside of ng zone. So in that case, they fix their component, but change detection is still constantly being run around the entire application. So yeah, that's also something that just popped in my head that we might want to think about. If we're going for a specific change detection strategy and we're detaching from the change detector, so we're doing it ourselves with detect changes, that can be very nice. But if your performance issue happens because, yeah, something is being triggered too much, do know it's still constantly triggering like change detection globally. It's just not gonna hit your component because you detached from it, but everything else is still being executed.
Mm.
And also, Dave, I want you to know that you're also my god. So keep wearing that feeling.
we share the same mindset, I guess. We both want to bring value to the community, and sure, we want to earn money, but we want to bring value to the community, and this is one of the most important thing, from my opinion. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's actually called the go. You have the go getter strategy. They say like this guy is a go getter. He's like constantly he's doing stuff and he's making money and all that stuff. And then you have the go giver strategy. There's actually a book from that. And if you start focusing on other people and if you start focusing on fixing real problems, then the rest will just tag along. You know, the money you will come later. So if you just focus on constantly creating free stuff and bringing the best value, you're gonna end up there anyway. So it's better to focus on creating nice content and helping people out, because it gives you the feeling that you can make a difference and that you can actually help people out, which is yeah one of the most important things of happiness, right? Having the feeling that you're that you're being a significant impact on somebody, that you can really help somebody out.
mm.
So small sidetrack.
That's okay. Yeah, and I think that being an inclusive and community-driven person is, or doing community work and being bringing value to the community is the easiest way to do is the best commercial you can do, because if you buy ads or something like this, I run Google Ads for 1 year, yeah, and I had, I guess, two gigs I get from this, two, and from my stream and from my community work I get a bunch more, lot of more, can't count it. And this is for me the proof that community is the best thing you can invest in, because you help people and you get help from them. So that's it.
Yeah, you can share knowledge and you can acquire knowledge, right? So the more people you help, the more you learn from them, because yeah, it's not that yeah. How do I say this? Whenever I join a company, even if it's for half a day, I learn tons about opinions of other people, and that's what makes it really interesting as well. And going to a conference or or whatever is yeah, I yeah, it's hard to explain, but I see a lot of value there.
Yeah, community Dave, community rocks, and community Brecht. Okay.
Mm, it's still your channel, Dave.
But you're welcome to the, and you. I hope you feel welcome in my channel, and
Yes, I do. I
welcome
do.
by my community. So this is a very open community. I really love this community because it's very diverse. It's very open minded. I and the best part is, and this is something, maybe it sounds a bit egoistic, but the best part is I've never had a stream without a single user, or just with zero users. I always have users in my stream, and this is something which blows my mind every time when I think back the time when I started. Then I was there for I guess for the first time, and I started with I guess about 10 viewers, and I was, what's this? And yeah, it works.
Yeah,
Do I?
that's yeah, I was also really like surprised about the the ebook, because like simplified courses is yeah, it only exists for like a month and a half or something.
Mhm.
And yeah, I had some traction with Twitter and stuff like that, but after one day there were like 150 people that have downloaded the book, and yeah, they had to full opt in so I could mail them the ebook and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really nice feeling. It's an awesome community. Sometimes I wonder if it's the same in every technology, or that it's something that is related more to to front end because it was so vibrant. It like the JavaScript fatigue I'm referring to, like it was constantly changing. Maybe it's something related to that there are more self-thought people. I don't know.
Yeah, I talked a lot about this, and I learned that not every technology is that open like the web community, and not every JavaScript framework is open like the Angular or the Vue community. So I met the Vue community at the Vue.js conf, and it was great. It was very welcoming community. I get connected to everyone very short, very quick, and it worked everything very well, and everyone was nice. So they have an almost the same vibe as we have in the Angular community. So as I recognized it here. So I need to buy next on my other screen. I need to buy something because just someone mentioned. Do you have the domain webdave.rocks? No, I don't have, but I can buy it. So I was looking for community.rocks because this is a hashtag I use all the time, and it's gone. And I was hoping that it will be getting free and available, but it wasn't. Okay, so when so you now you said that you wrote this ebook, and you will get it, it will be get a paid version, and at the end of this month, or at the beginning of December, I guess, right? And
Yeah.
so what is your next step? So do you stay to be just a content and writer, or do you want to go more full into workshops again, or do you want to go into projects work, or do you want to go into this mentoring stuff where you do this simplicity stuff? So what is your goal, and what is your 3 months goal? Let's say 3 months, not five
Yeah.
years, 3 months.
That's actually a very nice question because this is what keeps me awake at night, right? Like, what is the next step? Like, I'm building an online business with Simplified, and I still want to do like mentorship, but I have two children and I'm divorced, so I have a girlfriend, but she doesn't live with me, and that basically means that I'm limited in time. So what I'm doing now is like 2 times a month I give an on-site workshop, and that's either the Angular best practices workshop, or as Gregor wanted me to rename it, and I like his approach, is Angular proven enterprise solutions. And the other one is advanced RxJS in Angular, because RxJS is important in Angular, right? That's all of the major APIs supported, and it's also sometimes you have the feeling that you're killing a fly with a bazooka there with RxJS. So I want to learn people how to use it. So that's what I do. But that's also what I did like 4 years ago. But now I revamped the workshops, and so in February, I'm not sure if I can already mention it, but I'm gonna give a talk at NG India
Oh,
about about change detection, and my goal is to bring out an online course, a mini course. So with that, I won't be able to like address people, but I will be able to have something very specific and that you can follow on your own pace and not lose too much time. So I'm thinking about like an hour and a half, 2 hours max workshop. So I really value the time of the people that want to follow that. And so basically, yeah, it's gonna be, if you follow that course, you will always have something to go back to, that you really grasp change detection. And after that, I will probably focus for a while at least on quick. because I think Quick is also a very awesome framework. I've worked with it for my previous customer, but then I left there because I was too much in my comfort zone. So I will focus on Quick. I will also focus on Angular, but so on site right now, I will do Angular or XJS, change detection, all that kind of stuff. I have my material already for that, and I have some happy customers. Um, and regarding the online courses, I think like for Quick, for instance, an on-site training is still quite early because big companies still need to adapt it and stuff like that. And I think it's an ideal thing for simplified courses to make some complex things simplified and say like this is how you can create something with Quick. For the rest, my goal is to grow my audience because the bigger the audience, the more value you can bring. And for that, I will keep on focusing on free material. So I will keep on focusing on like cheat sheets, blog posts, maybe start a podcast, and I will definitely invest more in video material. But I have to learn a lot regarding that. So I'm learning marketing, I'm learning entrepreneurship, I'm learning like video editing, I'm learning like it's not enough to know the framework, right? Because if you're creating sorry, if you're creating a workshop on Angular material, for instance, and you're not validating that first, and there's no question or there's no demand for that, then you have spend a lot of time and you won't bring any value, even if it's nothing against Angular material, of course. It's just an example. And if you don't have anyone who uses it, then you're just wasting your time, and it's an extremely demotivating factor then. So if you ask me again tomorrow, or the week after that, or the month after that, my scope is like constantly changing and narrowing down. And so like 4 months ago or 3 months ago, I've written this article called "Breaking Out of My Comfort Zone,"
Mm-hmm.
and it was basically about a hard time in my life with the divorce and stuff like that. And I decided to like break out of it. And every day since then, I'm breaking out of that comfort zone, and my scope becomes smaller and smaller and more focused, and good things are like happening every day because of that. So my 3 month plan is a big question because I don't know yet, but I'm constantly working on that. And I like in the beginning when I started Simplified, I didn't even want to do online courses. I just wanted a new brand because I want to simplify complex things. I want to bring more value to your time. And so that's basically what was on the menu back then. And then things changed, and I started to realize like if I do an online mini course about change detection, I can help people in a very limited time, and they can keep reusing that. And that online mini course will be paid. It will be like $99, I think. But yeah, I had to reverse engineer the code. And if you really want to grasp what's going on behind the scenes, you will spend more than $99 in your time by doing that. So it's also a great way to support me in a way, because yeah, just using Kajabi sets me back for 2K a year just using it, and it's just hosting my material for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into that deeper, and to see what the community tells me. If you have like a great idea, like okay, we definitely missed something like that. Like for me, change detection, it was like a hole in the market, because there's not a lot of information out there, and even like very expert people um, sometimes don't know like what is being shown in the cheat sheet. Um, so what I also want to do is I think I tweeted it a few times. If people want to reach out to me, if they want to help, I'm not cheap if it comes to companies, but I help people for free. And we can just jump in a call. I can give you career advice. I can give you advice regarding like making material, starting a blog, stuff like that. And yeah, it makes me happy that I can do that. I think I already helped like 7 or 8 people in the last months, and yeah, it gives me a great feeling because yeah, you get to know people with the same passion, right? So if there's not gonna be a single soul that reaches out and says like, "Hey, I want to make a lot of money, but I don't really care about
Mm.
JavaScript or whatever." There are people that are really passionate about the subject. And for instance, I don't know if he's still here, Thomas. That I see he's putting things out there with his GitHub. He added a repository where there are some challenges that you can do, and he wants to review them with you. So that's really nice. Like so yeah, that's about it. That's what that's on my radar right now. Like trying to bring value and starting a business with that as well. And I'm not gonna lie about that. My goal is to make money with it in years. Like yeah, like you said, there are gigs coming out of that, so they're a return of invest as well. But that's not my main focus. I really want to make sure that I help people first, and then yeah, we'll see where it goes. As engineers, we're comfortable, right? Just working for clients, doing some consultancy here and there. So that gives me more freedom of investing time and that kind of stuff. So if there's people here that say like, okay, a cheat sheet of this would be really helpful, reach out. And I'm not saying I'm gonna I'm gonna create custom cheat sheets for everyone, but would be nice to do that.
Yeah, nice. So, yeah, Toma just said, thank for the shout out. Yeah, sure.
My
Um,
pleasure.
yeah. I think it's very important to have community members like you that because otherwise community wouldn't work. Yeah? And I always my philosophy is always focus on people, money will follow. Yeah. Which means you don't have to worry that much about money if you focus on people and help people. Then there will be a point in your life when people get back to you and bring money to you like this. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, it's like this. So focus on community, and I really appreciate that you get so open at my stream and that you tell everyone and explain it to me again. Yeah, I know. I was one of the review of your blog post. I guess I was one of this one, right? And I read the blog post after it was published again. So yeah, it was very inspiring, and I know the story, and I kept you on my radar. So even if we are not chatting every day, I know what is happening in your life and what is happening there, and so this is something which is very important for me to keep in touch and in reach. And yeah, so thank you for your words and for this all.
Yeah. That pleasure is all mine. Thank you for having me.
And
I can see there's even a colleague of mine that joined the channel that is working with my current customer, Brian Hannes.
welcome, Brian Hannes. And
Okay.
and Schmikey and Monkey JS and Washman Scene and so on. They all happy about what you said and for your offer to. I guess it's also about your offer to take. Yeah, was it an offer or was it a call for inspiration? So bring ideas of cheat sheets and then if content creator like Brecht know what you are looking for and what you find helpful, we can create that kind of helpful and meaningful content. So and worse content. So this is something we all appreciate. So I just put out my last week I did this stream about Angular 15, and I wrote down while I was streaming, wrote down some notes what I did, and then I put it in a blog post, and it was published on my blog and on workshops.de or angular.de on the German platform. So this kind of content is important. And so if you have any idea, so I talk to the audience in the chat, if you have any, or to the viewers, if you have any idea about a cheat sheet which you said, okay, this would be very helpful, then go ahead and reach out to Brecht. We need. How can we reach you?
You can just reach me on Twitter. So just Brecht Billiet. Nobody's gonna be able to pronounce that probably. It's BRECHTBILLEIET. I will. Yeah, maybe I can just put it in the chat. And also on on simplified courses, my contact details are there as well. Let me check.
So I will paste your Twitter link there. So give him a follow, find him, follow him on Twitter. He's also with the same name. He is on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have Twitter, and if you focus on Instagram, you can reach out to him on also the same name on Instagram. So find him, give him a follow, and say that he is doing great work. Sometimes we need something like this. It's important.
I have one more thing that I wanted to add there. I will copy paste the link in this as well, and this is just a shout out for your time to listen to me. So I've created a change detection T-shirt, and for the people that fill in this form with a reason on why you should get that T-shirt, I will reach out and I will send it to you for free. So maybe you can open the link, Dave, that you can see what an awesome T-shirt. I'm just kidding.
Sure, I will. I just posted it in
if you don't understand what the T-shirt means, then you have to read the book.
Okay, let me share the whole screen. This one. And we are. Oh wait, it's not. It's because I am the one who's sharing. So this is the T-shirt. So if you want to have such a nice T-shirt, my views aren't marked for check unless necessary. If you want to know more about this statement, then you have to fill in this form, and then you have the chance to win one of them. How many do you give away? One, or how many of the
I give away one because
Okay.
I also, for the people that already read my book, I send out an email where they can write like feedback on that book, and I would also raffle two T-shirts there as well.
Okay.
And probably on conferences I will give some away. I'm also thinking about like printing the change detection cheat sheet and handing them out on conferences, but yeah, I still need to check that.
Okay, that's nice. So when I just took a look out on my desk, and I just mentioned that first, I don't want to 5XXL, please. Okay.
Can't I just send you 3 then? And you can just like cut them open and sew them back together or something. No, that's actually a problem with these t-shirts. I think they go only to like XXL or something. So when we were doing Strong Brew, we were 4 years on NGBE giving training there, and yeah, sometimes we were limited in the size. That's really annoying. So because then people ask for like a 4XL, and yeah, that the company that prints those t-shirts doesn't support it.
No, we had to.
I know you don't have a 5XL, Dave.
Yeah, I had the same problem. We have with NGDE. We had one customer of mine here was at the conference, and he ordered, or he said he want to have a T-shirt in XL tall because he is tall, and he got an XL, and it doesn't work. It's too small, and he can see, okay, you can see my belly button when I have this shirt on. Okay, we have a print shop nearby, okay, or publish the template for the t-shirt, and we can print it ourselves. So Angela, you have to talk to Brecht. Reach out to him on Twitter, and then you can organize whatever you want. Nice. I close this here, and I will stop this one. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that I ordered something special. So I need to check where is all the stuff. So maybe also you, Brecht, maybe you know this one. Do you recognize this?
I saw it popping up a few times here, but it's new to me. It's an angular potato.
Yeah, Yeah, it's I draw it in a train while we are organizing the first Angular conference, and it became kind of famous in the community, in the German community, for at least. And at NGDE, it was very everyone was very happy about it. It was very loved it. And then Tobi Struckmeier made a 3D thing of it. So potato and like a stuffed pet. It was very funny. So I had this on my backpack, and then I find something at my where I ordered the stickers. They made this one, so I need to put it here. Can you see this, people in the chat and you, Brecht? This is a pin. So there are now available. There are now potato pins. You can put it on your. I have one at my backpack, and it is stayed there for I guess 3 days. So I guess it's kind of safe to travel with it. I wasn't in the train, but for shopping and so, and it worked. It doesn't fall off. So it is funny. So if you see me at a conference in the future, hit me up and ask for one of these potatoes pins. And I also have some of these how it's called, magnets. Oh yeah, fridge magnets. So there are potatoes at my place, all over the place, everywhere, at the fridge, at the jackets and so on, at the wall, so everywhere. So this is fun stuff. And this potato is just for fun, or just to make some noise and create some community stuff. So I expect some kind of shield with the S as a sticker and so on for your simplified.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Nice. Okay, now I'm getting hungry because of the potato. Okay, so my NG potato is not to eat, okay? It's a nice potato and it's not meant to eat. Okay, at this point, let me close this session. This was a great session. Brecht, I hope my pronunciation is correct. It says Brecht, right? like this.
It's close, yeah.
Close
Brecht,
to.
yeah.
Okay, it's close to. So that I can remember that when we were walking in Helsinki at minus 25 degrees, and I tried to speak your name because I read it somewhere, and then I was how is pronounced? Tell me, and you said just say Brecht. And what Brecht? And I was
Yeah,
trying
I
and doing,
remember that.
it's close enough. So okay, when you said it's
Yeah, but that was also the beer talking, right?
the drinks and the beer, yeah. So
Happy times.
yeah, very happy times. Thank you for being on my stream, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and your thoughts and your minds, and being so open-minded with us. When
You're
Dave
welcome.
so lacht, when Dave is laughing like that, then he was very happy. Yes. Helsinki
He
was
was.
very happy. It was
I
very
can tell you
happy.
that he was. Yeah.
Just one situation. We want to go out for something to food, and everyone took out the phone and hits in Google Map, choose the restaurants. Okay, my phone says let's go this way, and everyone pointed to another direction. So we took an Uber. Because of the cold and of the I guess of the position in near to the whatever, to the where we are on the goal location, where we are, the Google Maps wasn't able to check where we are, and wasn't be able to be that precise, I guess, like this. Oh, funny times. So if you next time we have to have some drinks again, and have some fun again. I'm really looking forward to this. Whenever it will happen, it will happen. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, thank you for being at my stream. I will stay in touch with you. Definitely, we will stay in touch with you. Next time when you wrote another blog post, please ping me, and I will check it and read it and have a look at it.
Awesome.
And
Thanks.
sure, it was a pleasure for me to read your blog post before and just check it and so. And we had especially this form stuff was a very good and very helpful blog post, I guess, because there was so many stuff inside where I thought, oh, this is exactly the way which I would have written it, and which I think it works. And so yeah, great stuff in there, definitely.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for listening to me and looking at my stupid face for almost 2 hours.
So I guess in between of us two both, you are the handsome. Okay, definitely.
These are your words, Dave. These are your words.
Yeah, thank you for being with us, and thanks to the chat and to the viewers. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for being that nice in the chat again. I'm very happy about this. If you want, I will be again here on next Tuesday, like every Tuesday. Angela just sent you a DM, she said.
Awesome.
On Twitter, I guess. Yeah, if you want, you can be here with me in next Tuesday again at 8 p.m. Maybe in German, because when I don't have a guest, then I normally stream in German. But we answer questions in English as well. So will there be a topic next time? I don't know. My streams are mostly very chaotic and very spontaneous. So like my life. So this is something which works. And yeah, thank you for being with us, and have a nice rest of the week, a very productive week, and a nice start into the Christmas and holiday season. And see you next time. And then I will end the stream in 3, 2, 1. See you then. Bye.
Cheers.